guys. Yes, it's a Saturday. You've reached Keys to Basement. I know I was supposed to post on Friday, but we had a football game. It was a home game, and I go for the marching band, not for the football. But I wanted to finish Wild Wednesday's story, The Possum Job, because I had 4 views on it, so I know there are 4 people who want to at least know how it ends. So let me get right to it. As we left off, Zino had decided he was going to dedicate the race, win the race for his sister. And so that was his goal. And so the day came, it was time to go back to the rink. And Zino walked into the rink with his skates, a proud man. He knew he was going to win the big race tonight. He was going to do it for his sister, and he was going to get the grand prize. Zino had not skated the whole night. He didn't want to spend himself before the races. And as he looked around, he noticed that Big Al was not there, and he got a little worried. But just as the thought crossed his mind that Big Al would not be there, in walked Big Al. Yes, he was late, but he walked around, chatted up the ladies, and he got his skates on, and he did some rolling, and he shuffled a lot, and Zino was sure he was going to spend himself before the races. So finally it came time for the races, and the ref hollered, "All remaining age groups, please line up at the line," which meant Zino and Al were about to face off. Suddenly, Zino took off early, and Al was slow and steady. It was the same rules, 5 laps around the rink, and you had to cross the finish line to win. 5 laps, and around lap 3, Zino started having problems, and Big Al was catching up even though he started after Zino. Big Al was catching up to Zino, so Zino decided to put on the jet boosters. But when he did, he lost his balance and fell. But he was quick to get up and take off again. But by falling, it gave Al a chance to catch up. Slow and steady wins it. Zino did all he could, but meters shy from the finish line, his legs gave out, and Al went sailing by him to win. See, in all the time that Zina and Lenya devised their plan, they didn't skate, and so there was no endurance training or any kind of body training. In the end, Zino realized that what he had done was wrong, but he didn't know what to do about it. Suddenly the lights went low, and the disco ball came on, and it was time for couples only skate. As Zino tried his best to get off the floor, out came the retired old Barbie doll skater. Her real name was Cherry, and she grabbed Zino's hand and dragged him back out on the floor. And they skated together past Al and another woman. And she was asking him about his skates, and he stuttered and yammered the little bit of info he could remember about them. And then she interrupted him and started explaining the magic sparkle had come from planet Lux, which is Latin, means light. It's Latin for light. Silly scientists in Latin, I mean really. The possum fur was special, but it came from Earth. What made it so special was the fact that it had to be roadkill possum fur. The possum had to have been sitting in the road for at least 3 days in the sun before it could be used. The reason for this was because the pollution on the road, oils and tire residue from cars and stuff, softened the fur, and being hit multiple times also loosened the fur and made it easier to work with. Suddenly, Cherry flung Zino across the rink, right into the waiting arms of a policeman. See, another thing Zino and Lenya had not thought of or looked at was the fact that the skates were customized with the owner's initials and her roller derby team name on it. And a couple of other custom touches, like how the jet boosters looked like LED lights, and they were purple. And as the police officer toted Zino away, Cherry snatched the skates off of his feet as they were hers. "You know, that saying, cheaters never prosper," hollered Big Al. "I think you will have lots of time to think about not only that, but what you did, too, while you're in jail." And so the night continued without the anxious teenager there, and a good time was had by all, until the smell from the possum skates got to be so unbearable, and they all had to clear the rink out, and it was also time for it to close. And as the DJ made his last announcements, the owner snatched the mic away and made the announcement that this would be the last skate session, and the rink would be closed due to lack of participation. He just couldn't afford to stay open. And Big Al was out waiting for his wife under the overhang, and it started to rain. And he felt just a little sorry for the whippersnappers, but he quickly got over it. and his wife scooped him up and they went home together. And after some time at home, Big Al ended up falling ill because he had nowhere to skate. Seeing her husband in such despair, his wife decided she had enough of the overpopulation and they had to move out into Planet Roll, the retirement planet. That is where Albie Core used his life savings to build a skate rink of his own. And instead of his usual Rydell skates, he got possum skates. Now, the retired old Barbie doll, who was sad about the rink being closed and had nowhere else to skate, also moved. But she moved to the planet Eterna, which is where it is said that her skates would never wear out, and the rumor is that even today, her bones are still skating around the rock quarry that has been long abandoned, as the possum skates were deemed unhealthy to own and were put on the forever banished list, and production ceased. The one and only possum heist that had happened over a stupid race was the only time that one would ever steal the skate, and so the heist itself went down in history. But on a happy note, by the time the whippersnappers had served their time and came out of jail, they had social skills and enough money from working in jail to buy a pair of skates, any pair of skates they wanted. But since their parents are the ones that had the rink shut down, they had nowhere to skate. I want to thank you so much for joining me for Slacker Saturday. Terribly sorry I did not get Friday out. It is football season. I did warn you in the beginning that I had a day job too. But here's looking forward to Monday. I hope you'll have a great weekend if you're not working. If you are working, I'm really sorry. I love you guys and I miss you. If you want to subscribe, want to comment, please comment. Oh, and those of you who keep telling me comments in the store or when you see me, please comment on YouTube because I'm having a hard time remembering what you're telling me. Also, the costume wardrobe that some of y'all want me to do is way too elaborate, and even though I want to, it would be too hectic. So just like and subscribe if you want. Y'all have a great weekend.